Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Roberts. I'm the director of North by Northeast Festival in Toronto. Thank you all so much for being here. What an amazing film you just saw, right? Yes. Really special event to be part of. I'm honored to be asked to host this Q&A with the illustrious Nick Drake. I mean, what an amazing career from, you can say that again if you want. What an amazing career, everything from the birthday party, and Grinder Man, the Bad Seeds, the things that conjure up such strong images and feelings for all of us here, I'm sure. You know, I myself have very fond memories of growing up listening to the Bad Seeds and discovering so much about myself and listening to the music. And again, watching the film, the themes of transgression and transformation and memory and love and loss and all those things that hit us so close to all our passion points. Honored to have this Q&A with Nick Drake, and I won't hold you back from your Q&As much further. Sorry, what did I say? Nick Drake? Oh my God. Those Patron drinks, by the way, are a little heavy-handed.
My God.
I'll apologize to Mr. K back there. So without further ado, please let me introduce Mr. Nick Cave.
Thank you very much.
I guess it's a step up from Nicolas Cage. I don't know.
I am Nick Cave. And you can ask me questions, or I can play songs, or do whatever you like.
Songs. Tell us stories. Songs.
Wow. I'll play a song then. You think of a question while I'm playing a song.
Your favorite color?
Yellow. Not often asked that question anymore, but it's a good one. That it says a lot. Yellow. Hold this letter in my hand, play a petition, a kind prayer. Hope it does as I have planned. Losing her again is more than I can bear. Kiss the cold white envelope, press my lips against her name. 200 words we live in hope. The sky hangs heavy with rain. Love letter, love letter. Go get her, go get her. Love letter, love letter. Go tell her, go and tell her. A wicked wind whips up the hill. Got a handful of hopeful words. I love her and I always will. The sky is ready to burst. Said something I did not mean to say. Said something I did not mean to say. Said something I did not mean to say. I'll come out the wrong way. Love letter, love letter. Go get her, go get her. Love letter, love letter. tell her, go and tell her. Rain your kisses down on me, rain your kisses down in storms, and for all who come before me in your slowly fading forms, going out of my mind, will leave me standing in the rain with a letter and a prayer whispered on the wind. Come back to me. Come back to me. Oh, baby, please come back to me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. This microphone sounds better. Does it sound better out there, this one? Hello? Hello.
That one.
All right. Sound going? That's a problem. Can you make this one sound like this one? Out of here too, I think.
Oh, we can hear you.
Or would I shove this one in here? And
Yeah.
is it? Hello. Yeah, it's a little hard. Here. I'm going to sing it all. Hello. Right, whatever. Anyone want to ask anything?
Yeah, here, please. Wow. Okay, I don't listen to your songs as much as I would want to because some of them or most of them got too deep. So but I have a question, anyways, because I'm always telling about your two verses from Oh My Lord, which is years ago, I know, but still, verses which are how have I offended thee? Wrap your tender arms around me. How did you come up with such verses who tell so much?
Just talent.
I missed that. I'm sorry. I missed that.
Look, excuse me. I don't know, and I guess I'm kind of subscribed to the school that of you sit down and you do your work in the morning, and you go prepared in some kind of way. You do that each day if you can, and what is presented in that time to you is comes from some other space, I think, and I feel on some level I don't have much to do with that anyway. So I don't know where that really came from.
I have been asking because I think it tells so much about the a big part of the religious experience. That's why I was asking.
Okay. I don't know much about the religious experience, to be honest. The religious experience, such as we're experiencing as a world at the moment, worries me deeply. It doesn't seem to be, well, yeah, it worries me a lot, so I don't know about that. Yes.
Hi. In real life, do you actually have a routine for writing, or do you just go and write whenever you feel like it?
No, I don't. I get up in the morning and go to the office.
So it's a job?
Well, yeah. What else is it? Yeah, it's a job. It's work, you know. And I do it from basically, well, I get up in the morning, I go to my job. I mean, job has a negative connotation for some reason, and it shouldn't have that. But anyway, I go and do my work and finish around the end of the day, and that's it, really.
How much do you rewrite? Go over and over and over what you actually
Well,
wrote?
everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, you keep going over and over it. I get to a point where I think the song is at a place where this I do. First of all, I write by hand. Then I put it into my computer where I can edit and play around with it quite quickly. And when I feel it's gotten to a point where it's actually something that I feel I could sing, I type it out on my typewriter, because I have a typewriter that doesn't really work very well, and it's so difficult to do. It feels a kind of final act in the writing process. Once it's written on that, I really don't have to write it again. And so it feels like the song is complete. Then it goes into the studio where I very rapidly, I think it talks about that in the film, very rapidly edit the stuff as I'm sitting at the piano singing it, basically. And that is something I enjoy doing, because it allows you not to get too precious about your work and stuff.
But were cameramen actually following you, like day to day, or how did the shooting go? Like, were they with you all the time, or?
Which bits? You mean the day in the life of?
Yes, the day in the life.
That's, that's
It's
not
fiction.
really my day.
It is.
It's a fiction.
Oh, but
And nothing is real I mean, I think that's that's certainly a subtext under the film, that all the situations that I'm in are unreal. Studio sets, there is no psychoanalyst. Well, that guy is actually a psychoanalyst, but that's not his office, and that's just a set that they made that kind of represented a Freudian psychoanalyst set from the 70s or something like that. The archive is not a real place.
I'm
so
so sad.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think the idea was to. We all felt that I would be able to relax more and talk about things in a less restrained way if I did it in a false situation. If they had actually just come into my house and started talking to them, the film would have never got made. Okay. Did you like the film? Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, it's supposed to be fake. Fake is not the right word either, but the scenarios are contrived in some way. That is my wife in bed. They didn't get a different wife. That is my wife. And actually, that is my bed.
Is it your bathroom?
No. You must be joking. No, I didn't. No, that was a kind of. No, that's not mine. It's my body.
We know that. We've seen enough of it.
The question?
Yeah.
I have a question. First of all, I want to thank you for the gift of your performances. I've seen you a number of times, and I've been watching. I've listened to a lot of music, been to a lot of concerts since the mid '70s, and yours are at the top for me. So thank you. I want to just, if you'll forgive me, kind of, I'm thinking on my feet a little bit. But you talked in the film. There's the section on the weather. You talked about turning that real thing into lies, into fiction. And there's a relationship there, it seems to me, between the creation of a lie, the creation of fiction, in a sense, but the transformation into truth. And can you, I don't know if you can elucidate that at all, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can, but had you finished?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I mean, I started writing the Weather Diaries. I think, I don't know if I explained why I was writing the Weather Diaries in the film. But I thought that if I started to document the weather, it would become more interesting, and I could bear it more because it was so miserable in where I lived in England. But as with all writing, the truth never remains. It never. The truth is a tenuous thing, and you, because it's an imaginative exercise, very quickly forget about the truth. And that's always been the way in writing for me, that the falsehoods, the absurdities, the magic, all of these sort of things that are involved in songwriting are far more interesting to me than getting at any truth about anything. Or no, that's not really right. About saying things the way they really are. I'm not really interested in somehow describing the way things really are. I'm much more interested in taking the imaginative leap and into invention, and I just find that much more interesting. I find it much more interesting, for example, or much more moving to me to look at, say, Van Gogh's sunflowers than to look at a real field of sunflowers, if you understand what I mean. There's something about that extra step of the imagination that I find very moving in art. You know, so. Yeah. Is that what you were talking about?
Oh my God. Thank you so much for this one-of-a-kind experience. You, in the film, you talked a little bit about how you communicate with your audience when you're on stage and you're in this persona, and you suddenly transform in this persona, different personality anyways, but you said something about you communicate with the audience and you pick out people that project this kind of, or emulate this kind of aura and terror. And I remember, maybe it was last year, that I saw you in a concert at Metropolis here, and I was on a kind of, I was in front but more on the third row, and I remember I just kind of was holding out my hand, and you reached out and you actually held my hand. I was not in the front row, right? I guess this has to do more with me than with you in this case. because I'm really now in my personal journey in music, and I just did not know how to take that now. Like, I took it as a blessing, right? I probably was emanating terror, you know, coming from Kosovo, a troubled country, who's been through war and everything, and I don't know. I just had to say this.
That's very
Thank
kind
you.
of you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it as a blessing. And as a message, I don't know.
The third row is a dangerous place to be.
I will be standing in the third row ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. That was very sweet. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I forgot about that. All right. I began to warm and chill to objects and their fields, ragged cup, twisted mop, Face of Jesus in my soup. Those sinister dinner deals. Meal trolleys, wicked wheels. Hook bone rising from my food. All things good or ungood. And the mercy seat is a-waiting. And I think my head is a-burning. In a way I'm yearning to be done with all this measuring the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And anyway I'm told the truth. And I'm not afraid to die. Interpret sign and catalog. A blackened tooth, a scarlet fog. The walls are bad, black bottom kind. They are the sick breath in my heart. I hear stories from the chamber how Christ was born into a manger, and like some ragged stranger died upon the cross. And the matter say it seems so fitting in his way. Was a carpenter by trade, or at least that's what I'm told. My good hand tattooed evil across his brother's fist. That filthy five did nothing to challenge or resist. Heaven his throne is made of gold, and the ark of his testament is stowed. A throne from which I'm told all history does unfold. Down here it's made of a wooden wire, and my body is on fire. And God is never far away. Into the mercy seat I climb. My head is shaved, my head is wired, and like a moth that tries to enter the bright eye, so I go shuffling out alive, just to hide in death a while. And anyway, I never lie. My killed hand is called evil. Was a wedding band that's good. 'Tis a long-suffering shackle, collaring all that rebel blood. And the mercy seat is a-waiting, and I think my head is a-burning. In a way I'm yearning to be done with all this weighing up the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And anyway I told the truth, and I'm not afraid to die. And the mercy seat is a-waiting, and I think my head is boiling. In a way I'm spoiling all the fun by all these looks and consequence. A lie for a lie and a truth for a truth. And anyway they had no proof, and I'm afraid I told a lie. Thank you. Another one? Can I get a bit more volume coming here? And a bit of reverb or something? stoke the fires. We've let our town so there's no place for crime to hide. Our little church is painted white, and in the safety of the night, we all go quiet as a mouse. For the word is out, God is in the house. God is in the house. God is in the house. No cause for worry now. God is in the house. Moral sneaks in the White House, computer geeks in the schoolhouse, drug freaks in the crack house. We don't have that stuff here. We got a tiny little force, yeah, but we need them, of course, for the kittens in the trees, and at night we're on our knees, as quiet as a mouse. God is in the house. Yes, the God is in the house. God is in the house, and no one's left in doubt. God is in the house. Homos roaming the streets in packs, queer bashers with tire jacks, lesbian counterattacks. That stuff is for the big cities. Uptown is very pretty. We have a pretty little square. We have a woman for a mayor. Our policy is firm but fair. Now that God is in the house. Yes, God is in the house. God is in the house. Any day now he'll come out. God is in the house. Well-meaning little therapists, goose-stepping, 12-stepping teetotalitarianists. Yeah, the tipsy, the railing, and the drop-down pissed. We got no time for that stuff here. Zero crime and no fear, and we've bred all our kittens white so that you can see them in the night. And at night we're on our knees, as quiet as a mouse, since the word got out. From the north down to the south, there's no one left in doubt. There's no fear about. If we all held hands and very quietly shout, hallelujah, brother, God is in the house. God is in the house. Oh, wish you would come out. God is in the house. Thank you.
More questions?
Yeah, I can just play some songs. I mean, I don't have that many, but well, I have a lot, but not many I can play.
Sure, we'll take another question then. Go ahead.
We're gonna pad it out a bit.
Hi Nick, I've been watching your live work for over a quarter of a century now, and I've really admired your work ethic. One thing that struck me from the film tonight was from the moment you hit the alarm clock, how much you are in tune with analog rather than digital technologies. The shot with you with the iPhone is kind of weird, actually. I wanted to know how you relate to technology in your writing and your process. I know you do work with a pen and paper for the original drafts. How do you see yourself in terms of that?
I don't actually have an alarm clock.
Okay.
It's just something the people who did the set said.
You use the iPhone, right?
Well, I don't, really, I don't. I just get up, you know. Got my own, you know. But, you know, I'm au fait with technology. I'm down with it, man. No, really, my writing has genuinely taken a new turn with being able to get information so quickly with Wikipedia and so forth. I find that an incredible tool for songwriting, especially narrative songs and stuff that I write that's kind of concerned with esoteric detail and stuff like that. And it's just, Wikipedia is just this enormous bank, this enormous memory of slightly dubious information. And I find that quite exciting. It's like our own memories, to be honest.
Fair enough. The question in the back, maybe, or sorry, over here.
Nick, your work is so transformative and magical for so many people. I couldn't help wondering what artists or art does that for you. I saw a piece by Janet Cardiff called Opera in a Small Room. Do you know?
No.
It's just a room and you go in and it's got records playing and there's a thunderstorm and in the middle of it they do a song. It sounds like you, actually. But mostly I'm grateful for the effect that your art has on me and on so many others, and there must be art that you go to have that happen for you.
You mean one of my favorite artists?
That's what would get you out of yourself.
Oh, is that you?
It's me. Yeah,
Hi.
Sorry. Hi. What takes you out of yourself in the way that you understand?
Oh, that's a very difficult question, that one, really.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I read, I could tell you my favorite poets today, like today, because that changes a lot. But, well, no, it's a very difficult question because as soon as I mention one person, it's like, but, because there's so many. But as far as poetry goes, I'm a John Berryman fanatic, and I think it's the centenary coming up soon. I think they're republishing his stuff, his dream songs and stuff. And for me, that had a huge effect when I read them 20 years ago or something. And you know, continues to have a huge effect over me. So in that small area, John Berryman, you should, if you haven't, you know, check him out.
Great. Are there any contemporary artists that you listen to today? Like, you know, Miley Cyrus, obviously a big influence on you.
I don't know. I can't ever remember.
Yeah. There's a lot up there. Maybe a question from the back here. Yes. I think you should pass this down.
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
You've written an opera, Shell Shock, which is going to be produced at La Monnaie in the fall. And I'm thrilled and not at all surprised. But my question is, what was it like? How did it come about? And are there plans to take it beyond La Monnaie? I hope.
Yeah, they want to do all sorts of things with it, I think. Look, to be honest, I don't know too much about it. I was approached by a modern classical composer called Nicholas Lenz. He wanted to write a war requiem, and he asked me, and he wanted to write it in 13 cantos or something like that. So he wanted me to, the canto of the canto representing the different players in the war scenario, like the canto of the soldier, the canto of the mother, the survivor, all of this kind of stuff. And I agreed to do it, and then fell into a terrible slump, as I've felt with which I've never had before in regard to work, for 2 years while he waited for me to do this, with the centenary of the war approaching and everyone getting panicky, because I didn't feel I had any authority whatsoever to be writing about this kind of stuff. As it turns out, over a week, the songs sort of tumbled out, thankfully. He put them to music, a kind of music that I really don't understand, but sounds pretty awesome to me, to my untrained ear. And yeah, they're doing it, so I don't know. That's about it. It sounds good though. You know, it's like a proper thing. So, shall I sing a song? You've watched the film and must be sick to death of hearing me rattling on. This song is one of my favourite songs. People just ain't no good. I think that's well understood. You can see it everywhere you look. People just ain't no good. We were married under cherry trees. Under blossom we made our vows. All the blossom comes sailing down through the streets and through the playground. People, they ain't no good. People, they ain't no good. People, they ain't no good at all. The seasons came, the seasons went. The winter stripped the blossom bare. The different tree now lines the streets, shaking its fist in the air. The winter slammed us like a fist, the windows rattling in the gales, which she drew the curtain down, made out of her wedding veil. People, they ain't no good. People, they ain't no good. People, they ain't no good at all. To our love, send a dozen white lilies. To our love, send a coffin of wood. To our love, let all the pink-eyed pigeons coo. People just ain't no good. To our love, send back all the letters. To our love, a valentine of blood. To our love, let all the jilted lovers cry. People just ain't no good. that in their hearts they're bad. They can comfort you, some even try. They nurse you when you're ill of health, and they bury you when you go and die. It ain't that in their hearts they're bad. They'll stick by you if they could. Ah, but that's just bullshit, baby. People just ain't no good at all. Thank you. I don't believe in an interventionist God. But I know, darling, that you do. But if I did, I would kneel down and ask him not to intervene when it came to you. Well, not to touch your hair on your head, leave you as you are. He felt he had to direct you, then direct you into my arms. Into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms. I believe in love, and I know that you do too. And I believe we can choose our path. We can walk down to me and you. So keep your candles burning, make a journey bright and pure, that you'll keep returning always and evermore. Into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Back to the questions. Let's do this. We're here.
Hi, Nick. You dream a lot, and if you do, you use that material for your songs once in a while?
I dream a fair amount, yeah, but not really, no.
I have a question.
I did see an analyst, a dream analyst, a Jungian dream analyst, many years ago, and for about 2 months. And he was amazing because I just started dreaming all the time because I was seeing this guy, and he was only really interested in my dreams. He was really great because you'd walk in and he'd go, how are you? And he'd go, I don't know, I'm depressed. And he'd go, oh, okay. Anyway, what did you dream? And he didn't do me any good whatsoever, but he did these beautiful interpretations of dreams which were really, really interesting. And so, but there's so much bullshit going on in my head that I really don't. Dreams is the last place I should be going to. Huh? Do I censor myself? I try not to, but of course, you censor the stuff that's not any good, I guess. You edit. But I find the things that you write down, often the things that you write down that I write down in my notebook that cause me a certain amount of embarrassment or anxiety, and don't look like they could ever possibly find their way into a song, weirdly kind of just sit there and wait and kind of collect meaning around them, and one day find themselves just falling into a song. And so I'm careful to kind of write most things down. I would say.
Has your process developed over the years? You like from the birthday party, or where you were sitting in that odd loft in Berlin, to where you are now with Grinder Man and Bad Seeds. Has your process of creation changed over the years? Has it evolved with you?
Well, it's the same idea that I get an office and work all the time, but for sure, in the last 15 years or so, my work habits have become much more rigorous, for sure, than they used to be.
I think we had a question back here. Does the microphone this side? Is it? Oh.
I'll just yell at you. I want to thank you and the Fee Center people and everybody so much for putting on this event tonight. My question for you, sir. You were famously covered by Johnny Cash, and I was wondering how that came about, if you were aware when he was recording your song, if it was just something that came up or whatever, or if you had any thoughts about that at all.
Yeah, I was on holiday actually, and he was in the studio with Rick Rubin, and somehow Rick Rubin found out where I was on holiday, and it was in this French villa. I mean, it sounds like a holiday a lot, but actually hardly. But I happened to be in this French villa, and this dusty old phone kind of rang. And we're like, no one knows we're here. And I picked it up, and he's like, hey, it's Rick Rubin here, And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I got Johnny Cash with me. Is it okay if he does the Mercy Seat? And I'm like, okay. And I kind of let it go for about a minute, I think. And I'm like, yeah, go on. Why not? Whatever. Yeah, and so that was very exciting. And then I went and actually sang with him a couple of years later. That was really on his last record. It was really amazing thing.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, my question ties into that previous question here. Of course, no artist exists in a vacuum. You have influences, and you made them loud and clear by covering a lot of artists. And we were talking about Johnny Cash. I was wondering, I think it's very interesting that he eventually covered one of your songs, and I was wondering if you ever think of songcraft in terms of a continuum. Are you part of a continuing story of song? When you take a song like Stagger Lee, for example, that's been covered a million times by different people, you added your version to the canon, to all the existing versions. So I was wondering if you ever think in historical terms, like just songcraft, just the evolution of songcraft.
Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, I do. I certainly think that ideas are out there for the taking. I often feel like a kind of bowerbird or something like that that's just casting around and finding stuff, and really my writing ends up being a kind of conglomerate of other people's ideas or something like that that are put in a particular way that are completely peculiar and idiosyncratic to myself. And I'm sure most of us do it in that way. So rather than a continuum, more that what I put out there is just part of a great big melting pot that sort of that can service artists in some kind of way, in the same way that I've been serviced by them. So that sounds like the book is the same, but anyway, if you get what I mean. Yeah.
Should we have some more?
What about I do another song and hit the road?
No.